Now when I was a little boy, at the age of 5, I had something in my pocket, keeps a lot of folks alive. Now I'm a man of 21. You know, baby, we can have a lot of fun. I'm a man, a style and a
Does it look better if I sit like this, or if I sit like this? I'll probably shift. I'll do this. I'll look forward at you. Hey, back. I can't get comfortable.
When did you start racing?
Okay, I started racing when I was, let's call it 12, maybe 11 and a half. I got my first dirt bike when I was 11, and been doing it ever since.
It was great growing up with Brad. I mean, he was an active young guy, and initially wanted to play every sport that he could possibly play in the world. And during that time, he was very active on pedal bikes. He was the first young kid to ride in the particular compound we were living in Saudi Arabia over there, and he just loved the wheel side.
With me, it was completely my choice. I had this interest, this innate thing inside me which wanted to do that because I'd been exposed to it in these small situations. The story my dad loves to tell is we were four-wheeling up in the mountains in Colorado, and these dirt bikes came by, and I remember, I can still picture them in my head, I mean, from when I was 10 years old, seeing what it was like and just thinking, hey, that would be so cool to do.
Brad and I kind of hit it off. We became pretty good friends. Introduced me to his racing stuff. At the time, I thought it was just a hobby because I didn't realize, the level he raced at.
When I first started at the dealership, he was racing a BMW R1200S. And being in the service department, I helped out with that. I wasn't lead tech or anything, but if they needed some help doing whatever on the bike, I would help them out. So I started out kind of helping around the pits, just doing kind of what we needed. And then when I picked up and started racing, we became just training partners, push each other in the gym.
I do a lot of work with just preparing the bike. When we get just a new bike and it needs certain things done to it to be race ready. Thing from deciding what kind of tires we're going to run, the suspension setup. If we do any kind of parts modifications, I do that kind of stuff.
You have to train really hard to race. It's exhausting. You wouldn't think so. You think, oh, they're just sitting on a bike, but the corners of the bike wants to stand up, so you're pulling it down and just got to be in really good shape. So it was a big part of our racing relationship was holding each other accountable to getting into the gym and getting as good a shape as we could for racing.
I would say I was moral support, and I think I was just a positive, I don't know, I hope I was a positive just person there, because his dad is really, I would say, like the pep talk and like motivation, and this is what needs to happen and this is how it has to happen.
There is a lot of coaching that goes on in the motorcycle world, because as well as the ability to be able to ride the bike out there, there's a certain mental toughness that you need to have. And the real fun about he and I being together on the tracks out there is I'd be able to reinforce him or direct him in terms of his mental approach to things and his reaction to things. And the way you approach that challenge, particularly in a high-speed sport like road racing, is very important. And he came along very, very well during that process there of listening to me, of processing what I was doing and then taking it out on the track and ensuring he was level-headed when he was passing somebody. Aggressive but level-headed.
think it was a novelty of racing. Again, it was like the first race that I had ever seen. And I don't know why, but street racing, they're so close to the ground that it seems so much less scary. So I think the jumping and the unpredictability of the dirt can be like raining or it can be really hot, so it's more grainy and I don't know, it just is so much more variable.
So on a walkthrough, you're trying to get sort of the details of the track at a slow pace. Because when you're on the bike, you're trying to go around basically as fast as you can without just throwing the bike away. So on a walkthrough, you'll go through, kind of get a feel for how soft the dirt is, kind of how tacky it is based on how much water they've put on it. Some of the rockier sections they had, the big rocks, from far away, like, oh, those rocks look pretty close, but up close you can see, well, that rock's really going to be an issue. That line looks a bit better. And it usually helps to have 2 or 3 guys on a walkthrough with you. You can say, well, I see this line, and then somebody else, well, I see this line. Somebody say, well, I see this line. I give you just a few different lines to work with.
While we're out at those tracks over there, we're discussing things like how the bike's performing, how we need to adjust it, and this is when the rider and the crewman come together.
So we kind of talked about problem areas, things that I've seen while he was out there, as far as maybe an area that kind of caught him off guard. He didn't have enough momentum through or something like that. So, I give my input and advice on maybe a different line choice he could take or attacking a certain obstacle a little differently.
We were just discussing the sort of strategy he was going to use as he goes into it, sort of a level-headed discussion, so he's not doing a lot of thinking about nervousness type of stuff. He's beginning to focus into the ride and how we're going to approach it and the start of the race.
Whether we want to be on the inside or the outside of the starting gates for a better line towards that first corner.
You get that line and you can feel your heart beating, you hear it beating, you got earplugs in, so you just hear it, and the heart's just pounding in your ears. And you hear the other bikes around you, and then the way they start is the light goes on, and then the light goes out, you take off. So I mean, just your life is that light for 2 or 3 seconds.
Has there ever been any injuries or crashes that have just totally concerned you, where you're worried to death?
He used to fall now and then in the motocross world. Some of it was his mistake. Thankfully, none of it was really bad, except for one fall down in Colorado Springs, where he was right up front, came round a particular bend, and this was his misjudgment, and got the motorcycle, the motocross bike, crosswise, and fell fairly badly.
It's a barricade and pushes it 8 feet into a fence. And he wheels the bike back in, and he's all concussed and stuff. He'd taken a pretty good knock to the head.
He was going around a corner, and a bike cut in too close and ended up running into him, and he flew over both of the bikes.
And I had a gear in my transmission snap apart as I was leaned over. The data on our bike, we have data recording, showed we were traveling at 108 miles an hour when it locked up, and it spit me off the bike in what we call a high side, which is when the rear brakes around, grabs traction, and then throws you over the high end. And I went for a tumble at 100 miles an hour, and all that happened to me was, I ground my gloves down and burnt my hands a little bit. I broke my foot in a couple places.
It's a little surreal when it happens. It almost happens in slow motion, and it's kind of like you're watching a movie in disbelief that, like a dramatic movie scene that you don't want to believe is real.
Why do you race if it's so easy to get injured, we'll say, or why, you're obviously not doing it, getting paid for it?
Right. And at my level, it's not about money. It's just, it's fun. You know, it's great to go out and just trail ride or ride the track for fun, but racing is just that next level. It adds much more intensity to what you're doing, and then that's fun. To just be able to put yourself up against another group of guys and see who comes out on top.
The adrenaline is just outrageous. After my first race out in Hastings, I came off the track and I couldn't unzip my leathers because my hands were shaking so much from the adrenaline. I'd have somebody unzip my leathers and help me get my helmet off.
Racing's super addicting. It's like the best drug ever. And the feeling of accomplishment that you get when you win, or if you finish one position better than you did the race before, whatever it is, just that strive to reach the top of the mountain as it is.
Oh, absolutely. His family, his friends. I mean, his family has given him more support than anyone could ever possibly ask for, both, I mean, with financially, you know, growing up, paying for the bikes and the racing, and then, you know, later on, emotional support. His brother, his mom always show up at every race they can. I don't think he would be the racer he was today without the support of his family.
It's a part of his world. It's where he likes to be and where he performs very well and where he really enjoys it.
This is a joy. I mean, it's an absolute joy. And when you get very competitive and start riding at a pro level, it's important to keep that joy there, especially if it's not paying the bills.
It is the culmination of years of practice on every bike, every medium, every surface, you know. The guy was born for two wheels.
I just think that he's so, like, I've never met somebody who's so passionate about what they do and how they do it.
He's fun. You know, one of my best friends. He's an incredibly fun guy. That's what he loves doing. It's having fun. And, you know, it just so happens that racing is how he has fun.
Intense, all out. I mean, take your pick. I mean, everything he's got, 100%, balls to the wall.
Racing to me is, it's my outlet, it's my life. Basically, go through every day wanting to do that. It's done more for me than anything I can even explain. And yeah, I'd say just everything. That's what racing is. It's my passion.
I'm Ollie. Hi, Jackson. What's up, guys? Time to rock out on the YZ. Woo! Yeah!
Alright. Can I cross my leg? Is this okay? If I put my hands up here, that would be good.
Your butt knees?
I want everybody to also see my awesome goggles. They are pink zebra. And that's cool. I don't care who you are.